Okay, what's up? This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. OakRidgeFord.com is where you're going to find your next car. Norman, London, Mike in Buffalo. Sorry about the Sunday Spectacular being canceled. Other things were going on, but here we are for a maniacal Monday show. The Leafs, a 6-5 overtime winner over the rival Tampa Bay Lightning. It was phenomenal, Mike. When the team was down 4-1, my wife's like, oh, your show is going to really suck. And I said, well, whether they win or lose, the combo is going to suck. But at the end of the day, it sucks a little less because the Leafs pulled it out, 6-5 winners over the Lightning, snapping a 4-game losing streak, no matter how the NHL standings want to slice it up. At the end of the day, this is a team that can score, as we've seen, but can it defend? Well, certainly not these days with Ilya Samsonov between the pipes. Good to see you again, sir.
Good evening, Norm. Yeah, it went from a maudlin Monday to a magnificent Monday in terms
Yeah,
of the finish. But I'll just say this: it's like you said, there's no doubt that this team could score,
right.
but there was a doubt up until tonight, other than that 4 or 5 minutes in the third period against Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago, whether they had any kind of secondary scoring. Because
Right.
if you carve out the core group, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Riley.
Mhm.
This team, other than them, had 7 goals. 7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just unacceptable. And, we saw what the Leafs did before the game today, calling up Nick Robertson, shaking up the lines, putting Matthew Nyes on the top line. All that worked. It didn't work in the first period. The team came out after the Nyes goal came out, and I think, just let Tampa Bay take control of the game. And I, like I said to you before we recorded, and anybody can check my timeline on X or Twitter or whatever the hell you call it.
Mhm.
I was doubting from the outset
Yeah.
after they're up 1-0, and then Hedman scores a goal that Ilya Samsonov should have stopped. And I'm like, okay, this is the guy who let in 3 goals on 4 shots a couple weeks
Right.
ago. You pulled him, you put Joseph Wall in, and Joseph Wall stoned them blind. So, let me see. 2 weeks later, you're playing him in Toronto, and who do you start? You start Samsonov. It's absolutely friggin' asinine. I am sorry.
Is Sheldon Keefe not a player's coach, though? So he's thinking of the player over the metrics in this circumstance. It came back to bite him and Samsonov and nearly the team.
Well, I mean, I understand, if you look at the last few games, Samsonov
Right.
had his best game of the year in Boston. They were down 2-0. He held them in at 2-2. They earned a point. I give him kudos for that. It was his best game of the year. And Wall against Buffalo. I mean, I don't think he was at fault for the loss, but as usual, the Leafs were playing
Right.
terrible defensively. So if they're going with a rotation, they went back to Samsonov. But I think you could have said
Yeah.
to yourself, okay, this is the guy who they solved. I mean, 3 goals on 4 shots. I think I could do better than that. I can't even skate.
Right.
And then tonight, 4 goals on 12 shots. Well, at least he's improving. And I have nothing against Ilya Samsonov. I like him. I think he was a good
Yeah.
goaltender last year. He got them through the first round. That's great. Well, in the here and the now, when you're playing a team like Tampa Bay, I'm sorry, when you've given up 3 goals on 4 shots, you've lost your right to friggin' start. They should have started Wall. They dug themselves a 4-1 hole, and they're lucky that they have one of the best scorers in the league, and the way it's going, probably the best scorer in Maple Leaf history in Austin Matthews, who came this close to a 4th hat trick in 12 games. He's unbelievable.
This is the convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. We have big discounts on leases. We have low interest rates on finance. Let me know if you're looking for an F-150. I have it for you at Norman Oak Ridge Ford. We're always looking for business. I'm always looking for partnership. Let me know. Mike, you admitted that you can't skate. How unhockey podcaster of you. OG's converts. Let me know in the chat. Can you skate? Let's go through a bit of a roll call here. Frank Kelly, good to see you, Frank. Danny Grinix in the house. Wilfred Witzke, of course, a convert is here. Dave Hillman, another convert. Giovanni Mizzi, finally on the live. Great to be here with Norman. Mike, it's great to have you, my friend. Arnav B, another convert. One thing, do not touch the line, Keith, or do not touch the lines, Keith, including the goalie. Am I reading that wrong, Mike, or is he on board with you?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, and based on the way he's played this year, I wouldn't have even had him in the lineup, and that's Ryan Reeves. Ryan Reeves has proven since Thursday, that game in Boston, where he did nothing after Brad Marchand can opener Timothy Liljegren. He did nothing. Now, nobody else did anything, but he was specific.
That's why he's there.
Yeah, he was specifically brought in. And I'm not saying go out and slew foot Marchand. No, but show there, that there's some negative reinforcement, and he did nothing, not a thing. And they had a team meeting on Friday. They had a come to Jesus moment, and then they really didn't do much against Buffalo in terms of stopping anything. Defensively. They were really overly physical. Tonight, I think they were a little bit better. But, if you listen to what Elliot Friedman said on his podcast with Jeff Merrick, he's being told from people inside the locker room that the feeling that they're communicating is that they can be pushed around. And I'm sorry, up until...
Excuse me? Is this, like, what do you tell them, tales out of school?
Right.
This is nothing new. We know this.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's like that's a bulletin? No, of course. And what happened last year, and one of the reasons why I wanted to keep Luke Schenn around is because Luke Schenn was a useful defenseman and stood up for his teammates, was physical, was checking all the time. Ryan Reeves is Colton Orr 2.0. or Fraser McLaren 3.0. He's
just not as tough.
The problem is to be tough, you have to be on the ice. And tonight, somebody was talking about the line combinations. Well, they were mixing and matching because at a certain point halfway through the second period, Ryan Reeves didn't play. They went with 11 forwards, and they were better because of it.
Mike, Sheldon Keefe is playing the hand he was dealt by the guy upstairs.
Yeah, but at a certain point, and I think it was communicated tonight, this guy is a liability on the ice. If he's not fighting, if he's not hitting, if he's not stirring it up,
So cut the fucking guy. This guy, we're talking about him like he means something. The fact he didn't put Marchand's head through the glass when he got a chance to get on the ice after what happened with Liljegren is a fossil like Marchand pulling that bullshit off, and the Leafs standing around like deer in the headlights. That's nothing new. But again, I'm with you. I'm with you on Reeves. He's useless. 11, 12 games in. Like, what? Do something. He hasn't done anything. He's fucking useless. We all get that. But the Leafs have bigger fish to fry than some 5 minute a night guy who's not earning his 8 or 9 minutes. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Right. And what I said back in July when we talked about the signing and we sort of like shook our head a little bit at it, the contract is variable. They can send him down to Marlies, and it's not going to cause them any problems. Now, will they do that 12 games into the season? Probably not. They'll let him hang around for a little while. But if he's useless, then, if he doesn't serve a purpose, so far he really hasn't, other than fighting and losing to Arbor Jack Eye and getting into another fight. Really, it's like, honestly, but tonight, what you did see is all of a sudden players who I think had not found their niche, Max Domi here or there, third period in Tampa a couple weeks ago, assisting on a couple nice goals. Tonight, they move him to center. He's playing with Yarncroke. They're mixing the lines. He's playing with all different combos. He looked faster. He looked better. He looked more involved. I thought Bertuzzi looked a little better. Everybody has expectations of what Bertuzzi was going to be. I thought defensively he was really good, but they're paying him to score goals, and he's playing on a scoring line. And I thought Klingberg was okay. I mean, I actually thought some of the Benoit and Lagesson didn't play terrible, even though they're not really that good defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
The problem here is right now that this team, their Achilles heel was their blue line. And when you've lost Timmins even before the season, and now Liljegren for at least 4 weeks, and McCabe has a wonky groin right now, so they don't know when he's going to come back.
Right.
And you're playing Morgan Riley 24, 25 minutes, and a 40-year-old Mark Giordano over 20 minutes. This spells disaster. This team needs to be better defensively, and I don't know how many times we friggin' say it, but they need to be better defensively.
OG's converts, what say you? Vepsis, Matthew, Nyes, and Wall curing some of the problems early on in the season. Let them play more. We agree, Vepsis. And Nyes had a great game for what was a really phenomenal line tonight. We know that Marner and Matthews generally have chemistry, but Nyes really ignited them. And, hey, for as much as we hate Mitch Marner, right? 4 points tonight, 4 points the other night. He's now got 17 points. He's ahead of the exalted William Nylander in terms of points. And yes, he plays with Austin Matthews, who gets a lot of what he does from Mitch Marner. Whether we like him or not, I don't think he's going to relinquish that title. He'll probably even win the scoring title for the team. The thing is, stop falling, stop giving away the puck. Be better. The whole team can be better. But, that was a dynamic night from that group. And, when the Leafs are down 4-1, it's if they can somehow lock it down at that point, the chances are really, really good. They're going to make it interesting. They can score at will, and as we've said, we all know this. It's we're not again telling tales out of school. This team can score and will score. You have 4 of the best offensive players of the generation playing together, all pretty much at the peak of their careers. And then you add in the Domies who are chipping in, the Nyes who are chipping in, the Yarncrocs who are chipping in, the Bertuzzis who will chip in. Offense in spades. And, here we are lamenting a defensive group that looks beaten up and broken and incomplete. And just this less than dynamic duo of goaltenders. Wall needs to play more. Samsonov has to play more. It's damn frustrating, but part of me, Mike, maybe I'm just a bit masochistic, but I kind of like the struggle. I kind of do because, this team kind of deserves it. It really does. It's made some fucking stupid moves, and the chickens may not have come home to roost yet. But man, we may be getting there unless unless this team can find a bit of a groove and go on a long run and prove many of us wrong. This team is super, super flawed, despite just how great it is offensively, and it kind of looks good on them. I hate to say it.
Well, I mean, I don't like the struggle. I like teams that are successful. I like teams that have done things right. And, there is talent here. And, they called up Nick Robertson. I thought he played pretty well. Again, they spoon-fed his minutes. Mm-hmm. He played like 11, 30.
Good.
Well, but no, I mean, honestly, this is okay. The goal for Nick Robertson of where he's now, he played third line. He didn't play third line minutes, but they picked and choose.
Right.
So with the change at home, but he's got to play more. He's got to be. He is a scorer. He's got speed. He's got ability. The one thing I was a little hesitant about, and I still am, I wanted him to play at least 20 games down with the Marlies. I wanted him to stay healthy. I wanted to gain confidence. Now he's got confidence. He had 11 points. He had a nice assist on Yarncroke's goal. That's something to build on. This team more than anything, it's a given. Matthews is going to score. Nylander is going to score. Marner, Tavares, those guys are going to score. The difference is whether you can get secondary scoring. Now, Nyes wasn't secondary scoring because he was playing on the line with Matthews and Marner. But if you have found your line mate for those two guys, then you've got a dominant number one line. I'm not writing anything off because this is one game, but 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points plus 4 for Matthew Nyes. You can't beat that as a line. It's like hitting for the cycle in baseball.
Right. And a guy like Nyes you can throw into the fire. He was thrown right into the fire during the playoffs. It just so happened that his collegiate career ended at a point where he could contractually, in a beneficial way to the organization and to him, join the team and be there. And he was good enough to do that. For somebody like Nick Robertson, knowing what we know about him and how fragile he, this early tenure of his career has been for him, playing cautious minutes, being spoon fed and being kind of protected, that's fine with me. It really is. And, again, he is a scorer, but he is now, the eighth, ninth, 10th best scorer on a scoring juggernaut that doesn't necessarily need more scoring, maybe a little more balanced scoring.
Yes.
So I'm all for it. And, we can criticize how Sheldon Keefe continues to go back to Ryan Reeves and give the guys 5 empty minutes that really don't amount to much. And, the decision to go with Ilya Samsonov, when it seems as if anytime he's taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, he's snake bitten and he's out of the game really early. And you could criticize those coaching decisions, but, he's been okay in determining just how much ice time and where certain others play. So, it's all part of the coaching thing, right? When you make the right decision, you look great. When the players who you entrust to do well don't, well, guess what? You look like a damn idiot. Let's just go to a few more comments. Do good. Poor Sam's hanging out inside his own head right now. Mike, again, for us, we like to exacerbate our disdain, and we like to just jump on guys, hate on people, right? That's what we do, especially Leaf fans right now, because it's a polarized group and we all want more. But for the good of this team, really, for the good of this team, and I know Martin Jones is kind of hanging around there, but for the good of this team, we need 2 goaltenders who can be relied on in basically any circumstance, Mike. Forget the tit for tat, the one hot guy and the other guy's a bum until they reverse roles. We need both of them.
Right. They need 2 goaltenders, and Martin Jones is not the answer. He gave up 5 goals down in the AHL. He's not a good goaltender.
Saying he's the answer. He's just
no, but he's not a good goaltender. And I saw people saying, "Oh, call up Martin Jones." No. They need 2 goaltenders. I'm just saying that the mistake was to start Samsonov against a team that it was clearly in his kitchen, and you could see that they were in his kitchen when he loses it after he gets pulled and throws his mask at the bench. I understand him being pissed
he's frustrated.
He's frustrated, but you know what? I'm sorry. You put him in a position where he didn't probably have a lot of confidence playing against Tampa, even though he played really well in his last game.
Right.
And what you do is you feed into the confidence of a player. And Joseph Woll played like he had Tampa's number. It's just, I very rarely criticized some of the things that Sheldon Keefe did, but that was a big criticism. And I have to also say, because I was at the game Saturday night in Toronto against the Sabres, and tonight, 2 consecutive games with too many men on the ice calls. I mean, that's organizational on the bench, getting players out. I'm not saying it's Keefe. It could be Guy Boucher. It could be whoever. All I know is that you have 2 games in a row where you had too many men on the ice calls. And I think in both of them, the team scored power play goals. You cannot make dumb errors like that.
Yeah, at this stage of the development, how the hell is, again, look, OG's conference, we know this team is flawed. Are you along for this crazy, hectic, disappointing, potentially exhilarating ride? Or, are you still a believer that William Nylander is going to lead this team to the promised land? Or are you in the camp of, look, these guys are bums, and no amount of transaction or out of the box thinking or maneuvering is going to save this group? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in community. I'll put something up here after the show. David M. Domi looked good at center. I see some hope. We just need to get Burt going. Amen to that.
Yeah, there's no guarantee of, well, he's going to go or he's not going to go. And I saw people making like Nick Ritchie jokes when it came about Tyler Bertuzzi because, he's got moved from the first line to the second line to the fourth line against Boston. Right. He's a talented player. Right now, I think he's just trying to find his niche. Like I said, I thought he played better tonight. Let's see, they played him 17 minutes. Well, he was
-2.
-2. So was Tavares. So was Nylander. Nylander got the assist on the game-winning goal. So it wasn't the greatest night for that. I thought he played better. Again, that shows the inaccuracy sometimes of plus minus. The concern here is with this team on the blue line. Now they're going to get McCabe back. They're going to get Liljegren back. But if you're talking about the aspirations of this team, winning a Stanley Cup or even advancing to a conference final, I love Morgan Rielly. He's a great player. He's a great defenseman. He's not a number one in this league, but he's a really good number two. But you accentuate his positive by having somebody as a number one defenseman. And I don't see in the future how they get that guy unless they develop him. And there's nobody in the organization right now. So, I mean, their defense is something that's going to be addressed at the deadline and maybe over the summer, but I don't know how it's going to get much better than it is right now.
He's the Matt Sundin of contemporary Leafs defensemen, Mike. Never
don't insult him by saying that.
Get out of here. Alistair Arbor, hello from Cyprus, returning home to Toronto Friday. Anyone else going to the game on Saturday? Well, the Sabres aren't playing there again, so Mike's not going to follow his second favorite team quietly. T-Dot, Klingberg pinches all game long. This is Keefe's fault for not reining him in. And T-Dot, thanks for bringing that up. Samsonov, super vulnerable, really, really weak. His mind all over the place. Can he do it or not? I mean, wanting to get a couple of saves and then get the ball rolling, get out of the first period without any goals against. To the contrary, just like the last time he faced Tampa. And, you think guys like Klingberg, Benoit, Riley, Giordano, Brody, and Lagesson are going to be a group that rallies around a really, really fragile goaltender who needs the support. It's not that they didn't want to do it; they're just incapable of it. So, these goaltenders are going to be left to hang out and dry, time in and time out. And sure, it's a character builder, but on the nights that they're just gripping it too tight, man, the results are disastrous.
Well, I'll just say this. They got John Klingberg because he's a power play quarterback. So let him be a power play quarterback. Tonight, they took him off the number one power play for large chunks and put Riley on there. I mean, they need Riley to play heavy minutes 5-on-5, especially with McCabe and Liljegren out. So put Klingberg on the power play. And, I mean, late in the third period, when they knew they were going to need Riley when Tampa would pull their goaltender, they put Klingberg on the power play. That's where he belongs. Now, anybody who's followed John Klingberg knows the type of defenseman he is. He pinches all the time. He jumps into the attack. He's offense first and defense second. That's what you signed when you signed him. So you signed up for the ride. Get ready. Strap in, folks, because that's what it's going to be.
Do you think Keefe should just create a lineup, have his pairings, have his lines, and say, have at it, boys. I'm not making any adjustments. I know I'm paid to be the tactician. I'm paid to move you guys around like your chess pieces, but go and develop some cohesion. Go and develop some chemistry. Michael Matthew, where are you now? Are you like in Antigua or like St. Lucia or St. Bart's or on a yacht? Mike, well, we're up here getting prepared for, Canadian and Western New York winters. How do you think Bert feels being moved every minute of the game? Keefe strikes again.
Well, there's a solution to that. Play better. I mean, he had an opportunity on the number one line with Matthews and Marner. It didn't work. It didn't fit. There was just something off. Okay. So then he goes to the second line with Tavares and Nylander, and I think he's playing a little better. Wow, Trinidad. That sounds good. A little better, but not up to what people thought. And I think he's going to stay with Tavares and Nylander. I think eventually he'll find his way. But I mean, right now, you spent $4 million on Klingberg, $3 million on Domi, $5.5 million on Bertuzzi, 1.3 thrown away on Ryan Reeves, and it's been sort of spotty in terms of the results. But I think Domi will improve. I think Bertuzzi will be a contributor. Klingberg is what he is, and Ryan Reeves should enjoy the bus to Utica.
Yeah, every minute that guy gets to play in the NHL is a minute he knows he probably doesn't deserve, and that regardless of how ineffective he is, he's probably enjoying it because I apparently he's the captain of the sound system. It's a narrative that is real, right? So this isn't some drummed up, made up bullshit. It's true, and we all knew this going in. Alistair Arbor, maybe play 7D and put Reeves in the press box. Okay, there you go.
Hurt Locker,
Zeke,
yeah. Hurt Locker
66.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna get to that. Hazik Siddiqui. Treliving needs to make a trade for defense, and while the Leafs couldn't stop Nikita Kucherov today, they might be able to get Nikita Zadorov because the Hurt Locker 66 thinks that's who the Maple Leafs need. And again, this idea of trade for defense, sure, just go make a swap because there's this stalwart defenseman who's going to supersede the abilities of Morgan Rielly, just waiting there, and who's easily attainable. So just go do it, right? Just do it.
Well, there's a finicky thing called the salary cap, and that's the problem. They have no room under the salary cap. Now they may be able to create room later in the year, and I know why Hurt Locker is saying that because Elliot Friedman.
No disrespect to these guys. I appreciate OG's comments. Thanks for being here.
No, but I'm sure he heard that on Elliot Friedman and Jeff's podcast because Calgary is, right now they're in the mode where they may trade Tanev and Hanifin and Zadorov. And Zadorov is the type of defenseman that Brad Treliving likes. He got him from Chicago, brought him in, big, tough defenseman. Not particularly mobile. I think he's a lot better than Simon Benoit, but he's probably second pairing defenseman. He scored 14 goals last year, which was unusual. But the thing is, he's a big, tough defenseman, and he's going to be a free agent. So that's why, this team defensively has to get better in season this year. Now, is it possible that they make deals? Yes. Who's going out, folks?
Right.
That's the thing. Who are they trading? If they're going, you're not trading Robertson or Nyes or these young guys. You're not are you trading Kalle Järnkrok? He's one of the few forwards other than the big four that's scoring goals. I mean, that's the thing. Who do you trade? Ryan Reeves?
Yeah, and that's the thing. The Leafs are so damn top heavy. If you rebuilt the team with a defensive mindset and a defensive pulse that completes the mosaic of defensive-minded, offensively gifted, but defensive-minded players, then you can establish a game that is based on limiting chances, limiting opportunities, limiting goals, but taking advantage of your limited opportunities when you get them. It's just the team is so top-heavy offensively. How the hell do you get those guys to all of a sudden become 3-zone, 200-foot dynamos? And even if they wanted to, when you have a below-average defense group and a couple of fucking who wants to play goaltenders, like, honestly, it's amazing. And I've said this before, that at this stage of this group's development, with these four guys playing at peak, many of them kind of on the back end of their top end NHL run, some about to hit the zenith, that everything else around them is just kind of mediocre. But Mike, it's damn remarkable. It really is. It could go down as a major. So Leafy, and I hate to paint a dire picture. We're 12 games into the season, but and what a wasted opportunity potentially.
And their record right now, is in the playoffs. So you don't want to compare them to this disastrous situation in Western Canada, but the scenario is similar to what's going on in Edmonton right now. You've got two of the best players in the league in Draisaitl and McDavid. You got a couple really good defensemen, the guys like Darnell Nurse and Ekholm and Bouchard. You got a decent supporting cast, but not a great. But defensively, as a team, they really don't buy in. They think they can outscore everybody. Their goaltending sucks. I mean, Jack Campbell, we know. I mean, Jack Campbell is a fine backup. Getting $5 million was just
Okay.
absolutely stupid. But the whole, my point is that they're an incomplete team. They're
Right.
wasting the prime years of Draisaitl and McDavid. I'm not saying the Leafs are wasting Matthews,
So,
but
so
you have
what, how does that apply to us though, Mike?
you have to
What do we
know
care about what Edmonton's doing?
right, but my point is that the Leafs have to seize on the opportunity that they have with these guys playing in their mid-20s at the peak of their skill. And right now, they're not taking advantage because the team is incomplete. They've needed to address this team's defense going back to what, 2002, 2004? They traded for Brian Leach. It's like, what I'm saying? It's like it's always been an issue.
Right.
Always. And it's like you have certain teams that don't address certain issues. Carolina,
Right.
goaltending. Edmonton, goaltending.
Right.
Toronto, blue line. And it's always
Yeah.
the same thing.
Right. Right. Michael Matthew, Nylander was incredible in the overtime. Michael Matthew is Nylander's new biggest fan, and we love him for it. Let's look at the positives, guys. Again, when you're focused in on a particular player who's having an amazing year, and I've seen so many comments about Austin Matthews and what's going on. It's great, guys. It's great. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Nylander's off to his best start. He looks like the most complete he's ever been. It's taken 6 years for all of the Nylanderites to, who've been building him up for all these years to finally see the player of wax that they had in their mind. And let's hope it continues because the Leafs will benefit from it. And yeah, he's contract year for sure. Good for him. I hope he gets paid. And Austin Matthews, woo, 3 hat tricks already. At first player to ever do that at this juncture of the season. Great. It's good for poster sales. It's good when we're arguing on X about who's better, Nylander or Marner, or is Matthews the greatest Leaf ever, or is he better somehow than Connor McDavid because he wears the blue and white? Great, that's awesome. But guys, none of that equates to a Stanley Cup winner. And that's what we're talking about in this team. And I don't mean to pontificate. I don't mean to talk down to anybody. I'm with you. And talking about the positive, great. But what, other than the win, what makes you believe that what we are seeing right now will finally result in what we've all been wanting?
Here's a poll that we should do. I'm not saying right now, but that we should do maybe during the season. Would you rather have a team that is exciting and offensively gifted like this team and not know where they're going to go playoff wise? Or would you rather have a team like the 95 Devils who are boring as hell to watch, but they won a Stanley Cup playing boring hockey?
Yeah, they won a cup, Mike. Forget about that comparison.
I would sign up for the boring team every day, including Sunday, as long as they win.
Right. Keith in the system needs to change. LJ, thanks for joining us tonight. It's a little late for that right now. I've said this many times, and I feel like we're repeating ourselves, not just this year, but years back, and shows back, like all the way to the very beginning. I'm just kind of living in the moment and going along for the ride. Julian Bronk, are you kidding me? Where the hell has this guy been? These guys aren't winners. Let's be honest with ourselves. The room clearly isn't there. Ultimately, Julian, these guys may not be winners, at least with the Maple Leafs. But we've seen it in the past. Guys are clear out of Toronto and they go elsewhere and they find their footing. Imagine a Morgan Riley as a deadline pickup for a team that just needs that one extra piece on the blue line, right? And I'm not saying they're going to get to that point. But again, and I'll close with this and I'll let you finish it off, Mike. I'm just kind of trying to enjoy the ride, and I'm excited for all of Nylander's fans who really kind of put him over their love of the Leafs because he's really off to a great start and he's going to get paid. And this is their Stanley Cup. The 88 is on fire. Matthews doing what he does. I'm excited for him to see maybe he scores 60 again. Hopefully he stays healthy. It's just great that he's doing it in the Maple Leafs jersey. And yeah, besides Matt Sundin, the greatest scorer that'll ever wear the blue and white. And I'm excited about all that. But at this stage of the podcast and what we've been trying to do, it would be nice if we were talking about and covering and enjoying and sometimes lamenting a team that was on its way to bigger and better days, brighter pastures than they have achieved so far. And at this stage of this year, 12 games in, and I know it's early, it's really hard to believe that they're headed for anything better than they've achieved so far with this group of guys at the top. If I'm wrong, no problem, because again, I'm not here just to talk about how much I know and how little everybody else knows. If I'm wrong and they win, great. Please prove me wrong. Mike, last word to you.
This team is 6-4-2 now, and I think the one thing that's glaring is 3-3 at home. I don't know how many times people have to say that Scotiabank Arena doesn't play as home ice advantage. I don't think it's because of the crowd or the fact that they're not loud. I mean,
right.
Toronto fans are the most intelligent hockey fans out there amongst those. They know when the team is playing like crap, and they boo the team when they deserve it. And they, at the end of the first period, at down 4-1, they deserved it. But in the long range, in the grand scheme of things, they have to be better at home. And right now, they've been, they luckily crawled back against the Habs in the opener, and they crawled back from 4-1. You can't keep digging 3 goals.
No, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. But that's what they've been doing. They've been doing that for years, Mike.
They have to be playing. They have to play better. Well, they've been doing it for years, and they've been losing in the first round for years. Last year, they finally broke it up. They have to change their mentality to be able to be successful. And I don't know whether there's a buy-in for this team to do
that. Its mentality is great. They can all sing kumbaya and talk about how great they're going to be and have meetings and redevote themselves to the cause. But if you don't have the personnel, who gives a shit? It just doesn't matter, Mike. It just doesn't matter, and it's that's the thing right now. The belief and the reality, they're not driving. That said, some of these cats can make us believers with some increasingly more effective play as we go forward. Less goals against, less having to come back with big offensive performances just to scrape out a point, and getting some consistent play from the goaltending. 12 games in, guys. 70 games to go. There's a long way for the team to progress, and at the end of the day, there'll be exciting hockey for us to watch and for us to take in and enjoy, and then obviously talk about it on the podcast. And we're going to have those frustrating nights too. It's all a part of watching this crazy team that is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mike, what do you have at hockeybuzz.com for us?
Well, tomorrow I will lament the up and down, chaotic roller coaster game. And I hope the hospital, I always say this, I hope the hospitals in the Toronto area have stocked up on nitroglycerin pills, because it's going to be a bumpy ride.
And Jeff Mader, real quick, name a player they should acquire. Nikita Zadorov. There you go. Right.
I said Matt Dumba, but that would be costly, and he's a free agent at the end of the year. So if you want to wait until the summer to sign him, I know that they were interested, but Zadorov, I'm fairly certain Zadorov will be a Leaf next year. I don't know about before then.
Okay. Guys, like the content, subscribe to the channel. We really do appreciate your support. If you are looking for wheels, you guys know, because we bring it up a lot of the time that Mike and I are conversing within this project. I work at Oak Ridge Ford. I sell cars. I have great opportunities for you. I'm not standing around the front door in a checker jacket with a cigarette. That's what we do out back. But I'm just trying to build a business, and I have lots of opportunities for you, whether on used, new, finance, lease. All you got to do is reach out to me at Norm at Oak Ridge Forward. Read Mike in the meantime. We'll try to sneak another show into the mix before the Sunday Spectacular. We are kind of one behind because we weren't able to do a show yesterday. Just kind of want to keep the chains moving, keep the views and the interactions increasing, because really that's what it's all about. The Leafs, a 6-5 overtime winner over the rival Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. So a 4-game losing streak ends. A winning streak has begun. As to what happens next, your guess is as good as ours. For Mike, I'm Norm and Hazik Siddiqui. This is The Convo, and we're out.